Well, it's about that time. Everyone has their Christmas decorations up already. I don't know how we got here, but today we're talking about one of the biggest topics that comes up every single year, and that is Thanksgiving. Because this is the time of year when most people either go off the rails completely or can get super restrictive and try to stay on track.
Yeah, before we get to Christmas, we have Thanksgiving, right? We can't leave out Thanksgiving. People are forgetting about it. It's a great time of the year. So, but yeah, you've got a lot of times you've got two extremes. You have the I'll just completely start over Monday, like everything's been ruined, everything in the past, and then or you'll get the well, I'll just kind of eat a little bit of chicken here, a little bit of turkey here, some green beans, I'll be good, and just restrict themselves, and then they have a lot of guilt and they feel bad about it, and they're like, oh, I totally did not enjoy that Thanksgiving. So, of course, neither approach is healthy. Neither approach is what we would recommend. It's not sustainable. It's not fun. So, we want to talk about how to enjoy your Thanksgiving to the fullest.
Yeah, I think there can be a lot of stress around it. I mean, not just for the logistics and the family and all the chaos that goes with that, but even a lot of people stress about the food, especially if they're on a fitness journey. So today we want to break down how you can enjoy Thanksgiving guilt-free while still staying aligned with your goals. And so we're just going to cover how to approach the day, how to manage mindset around that, and just how to get back on track after without spiraling.
Yeah, kind of like a no worries, bro kind of Thanksgiving, right?
Exactly. So, in other news, before we get into that, I booked another trip, a vacation for next year.
Yes. All right. So, where are you going? Tell us all about it.
Well, I'm keeping in my theme of just like booking a trip, just not really looking at the itinerary, just having something on the book so that way I force myself into the experience. But I have been wanting to go to Portugal for a long time. That's been on the top of my list. And so they finally came out with an itinerary that was aligned with what I wanted to do a little more so, or just at least the cities that they're hitting. So yeah, I just said, screw it, we're booking it.
Do it. When are you going?
um, I think like August or September next year, so it's quite a ways out,
Okay.
but
Yeah,
yeah.
that's something super excited to look forward to for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, keeping in the theme with that. And then I did just get back from EDC last weekend too, which was a little mini vacation of its own, I guess.
So tell me what EDC is. I've seen some posts on it and people posting their tags, whatever, but honestly, I didn't look it up. I have no idea what
Yeah,
EDC is.
that's fair. Yeah, I figured I could explain it. But yeah, it's like a really big music festival. It's like EDM style music. They do a big one in Vegas every year. That's like the biggest one. It's just insane. And then they do one in Orlando, which is I live close by, so I always go to that one because it's more convenient on a smaller scale, but still like really big. And it's a whole 3 day thing, just a bunch of artists, a bunch of different genres of EDM. So it's a fun time.
I gotcha. So what do you do during the concert? Are you just kind of like the chill in the back and listen, or are you in the front row like jamming out, or kind of in the middle, or what?
Kind of a mix of all of it. It just depends on what the vibes are. Like one of the first day, like in the start, like we got basically right up to the front just because spots would keep opening up. So we just like keep moving up piece by piece and there's space. So we made it up there to the front. And then typically once it gets more packed, like we'll kind of go to the middle or the back just because like I need space. I need to be able to move. I'm just dancing around the whole time. So I need room for that.
Have I ever shared any of my stories of when I was a worked concert security?
No.
Okay, I have a few stories. I'll tell you one. This one I thought was pretty funny. So I was, this was, I guess, at college, and I was doing concert security in Houston, and it was for White Zombie, which, are you familiar with that band? I mean,
No.
I think they're like a devil worshiping. I mean, it wasn't like a
Oh.
type of music that I would, recommend listening to or following. So you kind of had an interesting crowd. And it wasn't huge. It was like in a basketball, the Rocket Stadium at the time. And my job and a friend of mine's job was to kind of stand like at the bottom of the regular section and make sure that the people didn't get onto the floor because obviously it's a lot more expensive to stand on the floor because of the thing.
Yeah.
And so everything was fine. People would kind of walk around in the seats and get up and stuff like that. And then towards the middle of it, I realized that people were kind of getting in little groups and kind of getting a little close to me. I kind of looked at my friend. I was like, dude, I think they're going to start trying to bum rush us. So be ready, man. He was like, I got you, I got you. He's like a couple, sections down. And I'm kind of bracing myself, ready. And I was like, I'm not letting people get by me. Like that's my goal. I'll take people out if I have to. Even if I go down, I'm taking people out with me. And sure enough, that's what they started doing. And it was weird. Like they didn't just all bum rush. They kind of like started slowly creeping towards me, like they're gonna like sneak attack me or something. And I'm just watching them, and I'm serious, like getting down in like a 3 point stance. I'm just gonna take people out, and they start coming at me, and then all of a sudden they stop, and they just leave the section. I'm like, I know it wasn't because I was that intimidating. Like, what's going on? I look over and my friend is like laying in the seats, like all sprawled out. Is like, I couldn't stop him. And they're just like pushing aside, pouring into the section onto the floor. And it was a disaster. I mean, there were just like hundreds of people just walking in the floor and everything. And I was like,
Oh
dude, he's
no.
like, I couldn't handle it, man. They're just knocking me over. So it was entertaining. It was pretty funny. We laughed about it afterwards, but obviously he did not do a very good job with concert security.
Yeah, but I mean, what can you do when there's that many people? It's like you can only do
You
so
got,
much.
you got to hold your ground, man. You got to go down and fight. And I feel like they just tossed him into the seats and he just gave up. But,
I'm sure
but
you do have some crazy stories though from working there. I'm sure you've seen some shit.
well, I mean, I just did a few, just random gigs where here or there. I mean, I did like the Beach Boys, which is like nothing. Like I stood in the back somewhere and
Mhm.
like just made sure no one like snuck in. And I did some other crazy stuff with some guys who were like way more jacked than me. So like they were like the front row type of thing.
Yeah.
But it was fun. I had a good time with it, and you hear the concert or whatever, and it's just entertaining.
Oh my gosh, that reminds me of there was the funniest part, I think. There was a guy, they have a section where there's a guy like signing the music for deaf people. But it's all like robot sounds mostly.
It's
So
like like that, and he's like signing the sound.
yeah, basically that's what he would do, basically. And then like some words he would, and then he kind of like dance it. It was like the funniest shit ever. I couldn't stop looking at him as opposed to like the artist who was playing it. It was so funny.
That'd be amazing. I love the signers too, like that have to sign like a bunch of curse words and things like that.
Yeah, I mean he was definitely doing that too.
Oh man, concerts are interesting for sure.
But I was like, if you're deaf, I just feel like that's not the like. Why would you go to a music festival? Like, especially that one. Like, I don't know. It's just crazy. I don't feel like that'd be enjoyable.
I don't know. It's the atmosphere, man. They feel it, and
That's
all the
fair.
senses are heightened. So maybe the visual aspect of it, being with friends, stuff like that.
That's true. But yeah, I thought that was funny. And dude, today or this week, it got to 30s in Florida. I am unwell.
Man, it got to 30s here in Tennessee as well, and I mean it was 50s. I'm unwell. I'm like, oh my gosh,
Same.
it's like 48, and I'm like about to die. So that was not very fun. It warmed up actually today. It wasn't. It was actually a pretty nice day, but yeah, and when you don't have sunshine, it's pretty brutal.
Oof. Yeah, I couldn't play volleyball. That's what I'm most concerned about. No one was out there. I was literally like, I put on my layers. I was ready to go. No one was there. I was like, y'all are a bunch of sissies. Come on.
I'm sure it feels good diving into freezing cold sand.
Yeah, it's brutal, but still, like, balls like got to do it.
Gotta do it. Gotta go all out, right?
So I'm going
All
through
right.
the girls. It's been a week since I've played. So I'm like, that's why I went for a run today. I'm like, I need to do something. My body is itching.
All right. New goal is to find an indoor volleyball complex.
Yeah, that's true. Not as fun, but
Yeah,
I'm sure there are some. I just don't
gotta
know.
be.
Yeah, we'll see.
Let's scratch the itch, right?
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about Thanksgiving. Um, and I think first thing I want to say is one day is never going to make or break your progress. The problem isn't Thanksgiving, it's more the mindset that people have around it. They treat it like it's a free for all, or on the flip side, something that you have to earn or something you need to make up for.
Yeah, it's almost kind of like that super cheat meal concept type of thing where
Yeah.
you're amazing all week and then Saturday or Sunday you blow it because you just go way overboard. Or, like you said, they punish themselves. They feel really guilty for what they ate and they're like, oh my gosh, I got to work out twice as hard the next day and everything like that. And neither of those are going to work well. So if you're restricting all week just to kind of binge on that Thursday, call it a cheat day, call it whatever you want, you're really just kind of reinforcing that same pattern that you probably got you stuck in this mentality or mindset in the first place, right? So again, the goal, we've mentioned this many times, it just throughout their health journey, the goal is not perfection, it's balance, it's progress, right? So I think a good way to look at it is before the rush begins. Kind of take that pause and really think about and ask yourself, like, what really truly matters this season, right? What truly matters during this holiday? When your heart is anchored into your why, right? We've talked about it before. Well, you want to have that strong why, and then your how is going to unfold with ease, right? So I think presence is a really good word to use that in this instance, like not performance, and that's what's going to bring you peace to what could be for a lot of us chaos during the holidays, right? We're just managing that extra stress, but we still want you to be able to enjoy the food. You still need to be able to enjoy the traditions, enjoy the people that you love to be around without turning it into like an all week event or like a spiral of guilt. So zoom out, one meal out of how many 2,000 plus, right? You're going to eat this year is not going to ruin anything, but how you respond to it, I think both physically and mentally is really what matters.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so let's talk about how we want to approach the actual day. So actually Thanksgiving, right? So we'll talk strategy, how we approach it, and how we think, and hopefully you can take some tips from that. So, how do you approach it? How do you approach Thanksgiving Day?
Yeah. Well, again, I don't know if I'm the. I guess I can talk about what I did in the past because right now, like, I don't really do anything for Thanksgiving. It's just like a normal day for me. I'm just my normal routine. I don't go or do anything. But yeah, I just
So,
say,
Thanksgiving Day for you is just the exact same day as the day before, or you don't do anything
yeah,
different? Okay.
yeah, because I'm not. I don't go home to see family. Most of my friends are likely going to be gone, so it's just like I'm just going to treat it like a normal day. Like I'm actually going to be taking calls and working and stuff and
Okay.
all that. So yeah, I'm not the best example for that, but that's for that's not because I'm trying to like stay locked in or anything. It's just because I don't have anything to do.
Yeah,
Um,
gotcha.
but I've definitely been on like both extremes, which is I think why it's so important too, because I've been on both sides where it's like I've been the one who just goes and eats everything in sight and just binges and just feels like crap after, just like in that food coma, and then kind of in that guilt spiral, like, oh, why did I do that? Oh, I'm gonna be so fat, just all like dumb thoughts like that. And then I've also been the person who brings meal prep to Thanksgiving or turns down my grandma's like famous, pie or whatever she made. And because I can't have it and just like tracking every little detail, literally weighing out my food. So I've been on both extremes and both are very unhealthy and both were not enjoyable. So it's, I think now, or at least in last years, it's more of just finding that right balance, which is kind of what we're going to go into too. But just usually I'll adjust what I'm eating in the morning, probably just eat a little bit less, like more protein dense, and then just enjoy the meal, but not go overboard and just like have a normal portion, focus on protein, be intentional if I'm like having pieces of pie or cake or, whatever sort of desserts there are, and just being balanced with it basically and not stressing about every little detail and then getting right back on track after. So I've kind of experienced all the different ways of approaching Thanksgiving. How about you?
Well, so on a random day like this, I mean, if you kind of save your calories for the end of the day, it's not going to change, whether you're losing weight or gaining weight, anything like that. However, I do feel like you're putting yourself in a really dangerous position if you wait. Like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, I'm just not going to eat anything in the morning, maybe even the afternoon. I know a lot of people eat in the afternoon or dinner, and then I'm just going to like eat everything I want, right? And that could, I mean, technically that could work, right? But I just feel like you're going to get to the place where like I'm going to eat everything and more so, and then like you said, you're not your mind and your stomach's not going to match up, and then when you're done, you're like, oh my gosh, I am absolutely stuffed. And so I think really a best approach would be to start off the day with a really high protein meal. Doesn't have to be a lot of calories, but a really high protein meal. And I really think that kind of sets the tone for the rest of the day, like gives you that really good foundation. And then kind of a side note too, even that way, you're not worried as much about trying to get your protein goal by the end of the day. I know some people are like, well, I don't care about any of the goals, but it is obviously very important to get as much protein as you can. You start that day off with 40, 50 grams of protein, and you've got a really solid start. You're not going to have as many cravings throughout the day. And I think your decision making is going to be better. So when you do sit down, you're going to eat what you want, but you're not going to feel like you just got to eat everything in sight.
Yeah. I think, like I said, like I think you can definitely eat less early on if that's something that you want to do and front load with protein, but shouldn't be stressing about it. And I feel like it is important. like I in general too, even day to day, it's like I don't like when people, or I don't recommend a lot of people to starve themselves all day. Not even if like even if it's not intentional, where you're just like skipping breakfast or not eating until like late lunch or dinner. Just one, the blood sugar spikes, and then also you're way more likely to overeat. I find that for myself too. Is like even if I go like longer than usual and I'm just really hungry, it's like that's when like I'll eat my meal and I'm like, oh, I need more. Like just like I'm ravenous, and so it's just a lot easier to go off the rails and get out of that balance.
Yeah, and I've done that before. A lot of times where I'll have a lot of calories at the end of the day. Not necessarily like I plan it that way, but I'll eat like half it throughout the day, and then for dinner I'm like, oh my gosh, I have so many calories, and then it feels like tons. And then I started putting stuff together, like, oh, actually, I just went over just a little bit. Even though I was like, I had so many, like, how can I
Yeah.
go over? Like, I blew it, type of thing. And so I think it's really easy to do.
Yeah, you don't want to be so hungry to where you go and binge and then feel like shit, even if it's not intentional. So have something in the morning. I feel like that's a really good way, and just front loaded with protein. Never hurts.
Yeah, in this case, a protein shake would be fantastic. Greek yogurt with berries or even honey, something like that. Scrambled eggs, some chicken sausage. Those would all be really good options to kind of start the day. Feel pretty good about it, get a lot of protein in, and then I think you'll just handle the day better, just in general. And then movement. One of the things that we always recommend is being active just in general, even if you're not working out that day, even if you have kind of a slower day, is just to move a lot and go for a lot of walks. So if you had this breakfast in the morning, going for like a 20, 30-minute walk, after breakfast would be fantastic. And again, we're not talking about like, hey, how many calories can we burn? We're talking about, can I be active? Can I get moving? Can I help regulate my blood sugar? And again, set yourself up so that you feel really good about the end of the day. And chances are, the later the day gets, especially with people coming over or you going places, there's probably not a whole lot of opportunities to go for a walk. Although we've talked about this before, how amazing it would be if after that Thanksgiving dinner, everybody went for a walk. That would be like the perfect ending to that big meal, or after the game or whatever you guys are doing together. So
Yeah. Just staying active as much as you can, like usual, throughout the day. And then another thing too is I always tell clients like do not track food. If you're one of those people that is tracking their macros, tracking their food in a good flow, that don't worry about tracking for the day. Enjoy yourself, be present, make good choices, focus on these things that we're talking about, but don't worry about tracking every little detail, bringing out the scale or anything like that. Just forget about it.
yeah, the only thing I would say is if you are to the point where you're like, well, I want to track something, like you just like there's are some people that have that personality, then just track the protein.
Yeah.
Like try to get in, see as much, figure out as much protein as you can get in. So,
Yeah, that's a
um,
good call.
how about desserts? So we're not going to say you should not have desserts, especially if there's that pumpkin pie or apple pie or whatever that's brought to the table and you just absolutely love. So there's a couple ways you can look at it. You can look at it and say, I'm going to have some, apple pie or whatever it may be, and just not go overboard, right? And just have like a smaller slice. We definitely do, remember when we were kids and our parents used to always tell us like we can't have dessert until after you've eaten your meal. That's actually great advice for controlling blood
What?
sugar. So, make sure you get a lot of protein in first, and then later in the meal, then you can have that dessert, and that'll one you'll be more full and you won't go overboard probably eating too much pie, but it'll help regulate that blood sugar as well. And give yourself some time. Have great conversation with your family or friends. Have a cup of coffee, whatever it may be, just kind of relax, and then have that dessert. And that'll kind of give your mind and stomach an opportunity to kind of connect. And be like, all right, this is kind of like where I am and how much I want to eat afterwards as well.
Yeah, and I think it's important too to talk about like just how to structure your main meal as well. Again, like you don't need to stress about too many of the details, but just like build your plate with some structure. Again, protein. Start with that protein first. Such a simple hack, and like it almost sounds too simple. Just like eat your protein first. Load up your plate with protein, whether that's turkey, ham, or whatever you guys make. Focus on that first. Add some veggies. Add a side salad for fiber, something like that, and then choose some of your favorite sides. You don't necessarily need to get everyone, or just like get a little portion of every single one and try a little bit of everything. And just be intentional with choosing what you're putting on your main plate. And then, like you said, give yourself some space in between before grabbing seconds, because it takes a little while to for things to hit, and then your body will kind of register.
Yeah, your body's going to control its blood sugar way better if you change the order of how you eat, right? You could have the exact same amount, but if you eat those like rolls first, that's going to spike that blood sugar and it's going to have take longer to come back down, as opposed to if you ate like the turkey first or the meat
Hmm.
first and then had the same amount of rolls, your body's going to respond much better to that.
Yeah, I think it's just all being intentional. It's like there's no major shifts that you need to make to how you're approaching these meals. It's just little things like that, like focusing on protein, giving yourself some space, focusing on like just being intentional with the size and the desserts and stuff that you're having, as opposed to just like having a free for all. So just a little bit of intention goes a long way.
Yeah, have a plan, right? Going into it, whatever that may
Hmm.
be. All right, so hopefully you don't have to deal with this, but sometimes people have to deal with comments or pressure to eat more. And so sometimes one of the hardest parts of the holidays isn't just the food, it's the people and how they respond around you. And so a lot of times we'll hear comments like, come on, you can just have one more drink, or you can have, you should have more seconds, or, why aren't you eating this thing that I made for you, type of
Yeah.
thing. So and it's hard because you feel bad, like you want to eat everything that people have made, and you don't want to you know uh, reject people in a way. That's kind of the way they look at it, even though you're not, right? So I think this is where the boundaries really matter. And so I think if you kind of think of the boundaries as like almost like essential personal stress care, right? It's not like an optional extra. So you can gently decline, I'm saying, like, no, I don't want that. You be like, no, thank you. And I think too, it's good to communicate why, not just no or no, thank you. To explain why you don't want another drink or why you don't want to eat this. And um,
Or I'd
but
even add just like compliment the food, like, oh my God, that looks amazing. Or, they were having it, they said it was delicious, hype them up. Then be like, but I'm not gonna because of this or whatever it is.
I do think that's a good point. So I think it goes a long way when you're like, no, thank you, but it looks delicious, as opposed to
Yep.
just no, thank you. Like,
Right.
why not? Why don't they want this? Is it not good enough for you? Whatever. But yeah. So I think when you decline, what drains you, like that's just going to drain you or make you feel guilty later, or not feel good. And instead, choose what nourishes you. You kind of protect both your time and your nervous system and how your body responds to everything. So, you don't owe anyone an explanation of why you're eating and drinking a certain way. I do think it's good though to communicate that, and but you can simply say, I like what you just said. I'm good, thanks, but have add a compliment as well. I'm good. It looks amazing. Maybe next time, but whatever. Or yeah, I know. Joe just had it. It was He said it was fantastic. I'll pass for now, but it looks really good. So, and there are sometimes people will just keep pushing and pushing, and you can continue to be respectful and kind, and just kind of redirect the conversation or subject, or just walk away. But the biggest thing is we don't want you to just kind of give in just because. We want you to be able to protect your boundaries and your peace.
Yeah, and I think communication is just the biggest thing around this, like you were just talking about. And also, depending on the situation and who you're with, is communicate stuff up front. Tell people it's like, hey, these are my goals I'm working towards. This is really important to me because of XYZ. So it's like, I really love your support. Like, I'm going to focus on eating better. I'm still going to try these things and just communicate what your plan is or communicate your goals so that way they understand and people are on board and can also hold you accountable too. Or if you're struggling, you're like, oh, I don't want to like go off the rails and eat a bunch of this stuff. Is like, tell people so that way they can help and support you.
Yeah, I was just thinking a lot of times, when you first go to someone's house or when people come over, you kind of have like conversations like, hey, what's going on? Anything exciting going on? Type of thing. And I think that's a great place to be like, oh yeah, I've lost 20 pounds and I'm feeling really good. And of course you're gonna be like, oh, what are you doing? And one of the things you can say is, well, I'm working really hard on my nutrition, and this is what I'm doing. I'm trying to eat more protein and less of this. So you're already kind of setting the stage for when you sit down and eat. They're like, oh, they may not even ask. I understand. They're not having a role because they already mentioned earlier. And so I think that makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah, just communicate. It really goes a long way. And even just like we've talked about too, changing how you frame as opposed to be like, oh no, I can't have that. It's like, no, it's not restrictive. It's like you're choosing not to have it. You're choosing to have other things. So it's like go in with that mindset, be confident with it.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite reframes. Is not the I can't have that. Because then everyone's going around, oh, look how restrictive he's being or she's being, and look how restrictive the diet. That's no fun. Instead of, I choose not to have that, or I don't want to have that because of this, or whatever.
Hmm. Yeah. And I think also just focus on being present, like as opposed to stressing about the food and all the little details. Like just engage in the conversations, connect with the family or the friends that you haven't seen, enjoy whatever games you're doing or games you're watching, whatever traditions. It's just like be fully present in the moment. I feel like that helps you not be so hyper focused on food and stress around that.
Yeah, totally agree.
Have you had any experiences where people give you pushback? Because like you're obviously pretty dialed. I know you don't like restrict yourself on Thanksgiving or anything, but do people like give you shit for it, or have you had any encounters like that?
You know, I'm sure they have. Honestly, I'm like trying to think of it, if they have. I didn't really put it into like a core memory type of thing.
Right.
I do think a lot of people. Maybe I'm just assuming this, or like, oh, he doesn't enjoy his meals as much because he's not having this or that or something
Mhm.
like that, or they feel like, oh, look, he's so restrictive, even though I know he feels really good about it. But I think it's just I've always been pretty confident about what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, and so it's not of like, oh my gosh, I wish it's just like, hey, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm eating. I mean, me personally, I will feel bad like when people bring food over and I don't eat stuff, because it's
Mm.
like either I don't really enjoy it or it's just like it's not just something I really want to have in that meal. And I know, everyone's similar. Everyone's like, well, if you make a meal, you want people to be like, oh, this is the most amazing thing ever. And people
Of
are eating
course.
it. You have that little thing in the back of your mind, like, what if they don't like it, or what if it's not any good, or why aren't they eating it? Like, what's wrong with it, type of thing. So I do feel bad about that, but I just have to get over it and be like, yeah, I mean, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, exactly. I really like what you said, but the confidence, that makes a big difference. Is don't go in just be like, oh, people are gonna judge me, whatever. It's like, no, I have these goals. It's working. I'm feeling very aligned. I feel great. I'm having all these wins. It's like go in very confident with who you are, what you're doing, what the approach is. Nothing else matters. Who gives a fuck what everyone else thinks? If people are pressuring you or saying have a drink or whatever, it's like, no, you know what you're doing, you know why you're doing it. And as long as you feel fully aligned in that, it's gonna be easy to say no. Or it should be at least.
Yeah, it did just come to my mind. I feel like what I get more so than anything is when I do have something,
Oh,
whether it's
yeah.
at Thanksgiving or any other time. Maybe I'll have a cookie. People are like, "Whoa, you're eating a cookie!" It's like it almost makes me just want to take it and like throw it out in the street. Be like, "Oh no, I'm not going to eat the cookie now." Type of thing. But
Yo, that's so true. I've gotten that so many, especially when I worked in my 9 to 5, like all the time. Anytime I would eat something like not like my meal prep, everyone would lose their minds.
yeah, I'm like, leave me alone. It's okay. We are normal. Like we eat these things too. It's just we don't
Yeah.
make it a part of our daily meal type of thing. And so, yeah, I'm going to have cookies every now and then. I want to have some cake, or don't make me not want to have it now. Give me a hard time about it. Just let me eat it type of thing. So,
Yeah, but too, that reminds me something you were saying earlier. It's like it's a great way to communicate up friends, like highlight your progress. Be like, yeah, I lost 20 pounds. This is what I'm doing. All that. I feel like that can also be a good example to show people is like you can still lose all this weight, you can still make progress, and go and eat an amazing Thanksgiving dinner. So like they'll be able to see you modeling that and like seeing you eating still like a good meal. But still being able to make that progress. I feel like it's a great way to model that too for other people because I'm sure there's a lot of other people that can be inspired by that.
yeah, it really is. It hopefully shows that you can be a normal person in terms of what people eat all the time, and when you want to be, and eat what you want, how you want it, and you still, you know, have a great health journey and feel really good about yourself.
Yeah, that's like with anything. We always preach as clients is that is what this journey is all about. That's what life is all about, being able to enjoy these moments, these meals, time with the family, whatever it is, whether that's a date night or a holiday like this or a vacation. It's like that all that stuff is going to fit into your life. You should be able to go in without stress and just be able to fully enjoy it. And that's what we want to get to. That's like the level of balance that we want to achieve.
Yes.
So we covered kind of the day of Thanksgiving, but what about after? I feel like this is where people can mess up. They could wake up just feeling like bloated, sluggish, and immediately want to go to those extremes, whether that's restricting and starving themselves or just keep eating leftovers and be like, oh, I already had, like, I already messed up. Like, why not? I'll just eat the rest of the pie or whatever it is.
Yeah, and I think we were talking about the kind of people that like one that restricts themselves during Thanksgiving and the person that goes overboard. I think that it would be like a gigantic percentage of the people actually like go overboard. Probably a small percentage are actually restricting themselves.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I think the day after Thanksgiving is probably where people really panic or they really stress out or they really punish themselves and they don't have to. and they don't need to. And that's what we want to make sure we get the message we get across here.
Yeah. So there is a fix for that, and it's very simple. It's just get back into normal routine. Period. End of story. That's it. Don't change anything. Don't eat less because you ate so much yesterday. Don't go and do a bunch of cardio to try to burn it off. It's just simply get back into the normal routine as fast as you can. That's all. So that's like hydrating, getting, whatever your water goal is, gallon of water, 100 ounces of water. Just getting out, getting the movement in, go get a workout in or go for a walk, just get some stretching, some mobility in, or just getting back to normal eating routine with, again, like don't go in fast, don't overcorrect, just eat your protein, hit your macros, get a balanced breakfast, and continue moving forward. And then same with sleep. Just getting back on the sleep schedule and everything else. So just like get back into the normal routine as quick as you can, and you'll be good to go.
Yeah, you're right. Next day, boom, I get up, back to the routine. What you normally do. And I think you can make it fun to use those leftovers to be creative. And maybe you have, let's say you have turkey, for example, because that's better, right? So maybe you have turkey salad instead of like a chicken salad sandwich type of thing. Or I used to love having turkey sandwiches the next day when I was a kid. That was like one of my favorite things to have leftovers. And so you make turkey chili. People will do things like that. There's just a lot of things you can do with the leftovers and still stay within your normal routine and your normal um, what you're trying to do to get to your goals, right? So, but if you're someone that just tends to stress out about your weight, the scale, stuff like that, maybe the next day is not the best day to check the scale. Maybe wait a couple days, right? I mean, you might be holding extra water or carbs, food weight, whatever. I doubt you gained, a bunch of fat over one meal. So give it a few days. Your body's going to adjust. And again, we want to make sure that you're not going to work out the next day to punish yourself. You're not going to go for a 5 mile run to beat yourself up because you ate too much. Everything you need to do should be out of love, out of personal growth, and use everything just to fuel yourself and get yourself closer to where you want to be, but do it in a way that, hey, I love myself. I just want to get back into the routine, back to structure. Whatever happened yesterday, no big deal. I enjoyed myself, had a great time. Now I need to get ready for Christmas.
Yeah. You like likely you are going to be a little heavier the next day. And again, it's not because you gain fat, it's purely just the water weight. So no one panic, totally normal, not a big deal whatsoever. Again, one meal is not impacting any of your progress. So you're good. If you're stressed about the scale, don't weigh yourself. It's like everything's going to be fine. It's going to level back out. So do not panic. Everyone always does. Everything's fine.
Yeah, everything's it's all good. It's all good. Remember, we're having a no worries, bro kind of Thanksgiving, right?
Exactly. And then one mindset shift I like to make too is like if you are someone that like maybe ate a little more than you should have, like again, not a big deal. But it's like use that as fuel for your next workouts. Like you're gonna get a hell of a workout. Like go push it. Again, not out of punishment, but it's like that is great fuel for like a good solid workout.
Yeah, and what you mean is you're bumping up the intensity. Again, we're not talking about like go beat yourself up,
Yeah.
but hey, go for some PRs in the morning. Try
Mhm.
to really push yourself. You might feel pretty good actually.
Yeah.
So I think a good thing too is just kind of again zooming out, looking at the big picture, right? So if you eat a little more on Thanksgiving, it's way more important how you handle it the next month or two than that how you handle it that one day or that one meal, right? So just like you said, getting back to our anchor habits, you know, our movement, getting enough protein in, prioritizing sleep, managing stress, and then keeping the perspective that look, you didn't ruin anything. We're talking about progress, not perfection. Consistency over everything is going to be the key. 90% of the time you're consistent with everything you need to be doing. That 10%, not going to be a big deal. So the people that really see those long-term results um, aren't the ones who ever you kind of slip up, right? They're the ones who don't stay stuck when everyone else does, type of thing.
Yeah, the holidays are just a natural part of life. They're not something that you need to survive or get through. It's something that we want to be able to enjoy. And so if your plan only works when you're in full control, that's not really the lifestyle. And so we should be able to enjoy the holidays, travel events again, like we were talking about, while staying aligned with your values. And I know it kind of explained what I did. I mean, what I've done over the years, what I do now, which is kind of not it's all over the place. But what do you typically do, or how do you approach your Thanksgiving?
Yeah, so I do always start with a high protein meal. I mean, it doesn't matter where I am when it doesn't matter. Every day of the year, like I start out with a high protein meal. So I'll do that. Nothing changes. My breakfast will be very similar to what I have every single day. My meal is going to be, I'll probably eat more calories that day. I have um, a few things that I like to make. It changes sometimes. We always have big turkey. I like to make the turkey, and that's a lot of fun. So I do most of the cooking. So that's like a lot of the day. I'll have games on in the background, so I'll be watching a game. I do like to go for walks. Sometimes, depending on my mood. I mean, I have done like 5Ks on Thanksgiving
Mm,
Day just for fun.
yeah.
You know me, not the biggest runner, so I don't always do that. But and I've also done some challenges, like fun, like um, body weight challenges. Like I might do like 10 squats an hour, or
Mm.
try to get to like 100 squats a day, or push-ups, or something like that, just to kind of keep myself going. Or and you know, and it gives me, it forces me to think, oh, I need to be active right now instead of just sitting on the couch all day type of thing. I do like to go for walks, especially if it's a nicer day, especially after the meal. I definitely want to go for walks. But yeah, a lot of the day is really just watching football and cooking and enjoying the meal and enjoying the company.
Do you guys have any go-to dishes that you always make? Because I guess you're the one chefing them up. Like, do you have go-tos, or is it typical like turkey and mashed potatoes and stuff?
Yeah, so I, I'm not the biggest turkey guy. Like I don't love turkey,
Yeah.
but everyone else likes it. It's like traditional, so I'll make it. And I do this spatchcock way where basically like you kind of basically break it down the middle and you flatten it, so it's a lot easier and takes a lot less time. And that's actually worked out really well. It's been really good that way. I make a an appetizer that's like it's like ground beef and Italian sausage, and I'll put a bunch of different cheeses like provolone and mozzarella and real deal Parmesan, and I'll mix all that up, and then I'll put it into mushroom caps,
Mm,
and I'll put that on the stovetop, and that could be my meal. Like that to
that
me is
sounds
like my
bomb.
favorite thing of the day. Yeah, it sounds delicious, and I probably eat a couple pounds of meat while I'm doing that because I'll like scoop up some of it while I'm cooking. I'll just eating it away. I'm like I'm stuffed before I even get to Thanksgiving dinner. But we'll have the traditional, like my girls love like deviled eggs, and so they love rolls, of course. So we have rolls. We'll have mashed potatoes, and my girls do like, this is like the one time they like sweet potatoes. Of course, they're like we have to have marshmallows and
Uh,
brown sugar. So
yeah.
the table is a mix of things that are really good for you and things not so much. But there's a lot of food. But yeah, they have a good time with it.
Yeah, it sounds good. Do you guys have, aside from just watching games and stuff, do you do any like activities or have any traditions?
Other than that, no. No,
That's
just
fair.
hanging out. Like I said, most but for me personally, most of the day is just me. The game's on, I'm watching the game and I'm cooking. So that's fun. I enjoy it though.
Nice.
All right, so let, let's let's kind of wrap things up. So Thanksgiving should be a lot of fun. Thanksgiving Day is not an issue. Should not be something to be stressed out about. But we do want you to think about Thanksgiving in a positive way, right? So if you build a strong foundation with your habits, one day is not going to derail your progress. It's really just another chance, I should say, to practice balance and flexibility. I think that's one word we don't use often, but an opportunity to practice adapting a little bit, changing a little bit, being flexible. You don't have to earn it, burn it off, or restrict the day after or anything like that. You just stay grounded in your anchor habits, get back to what you've been doing, and remember the why and what you're starting in the first place, and what the why behind your journey overall.
Yeah, if you want to learn how to build that kind of balance where you can live life, travel, enjoy holidays without guilt, that's exactly why we created our holiday survival guide. So I'll link that in the show notes if that's something you guys want to snag. And then also just happy Thanksgiving, everyone. We are so grateful for all of you tuning in, all the feedback on the podcast. We're just so grateful for you all. So I hope you guys have an amazing time with your people, with your family, enjoy food, and we will catch you on the next one.